Xenophobic national, like, what's the problem with xenophobic nationalism? Don't you think that's better for Americans in general?
Stop!
Like
I think Sam foolishly thought there would be people that go, oh no, I mean, Christian nationalism, I mean, xenophobic nationalism, Christian fundamentalism, these are bad things. Like, I personally didn't think that every fucking Zoomer that was going to run up to the mic was going to be like, nah, shit, that shit's dope, dude. I love religious fundamentalism. That shit is poggers. It's sick. Holy, that is so crazy.
My next claim is, unless you're a billionaire, a religious fundamentalist, or a xenophobic nationalist, voting for Trump was a mistake.
Oh, there's another great fucking bars from Samuel here, okay? Bars. Presented it perfectly.
Okay, so let's tackle one aspect, religious fundamentalists. What benefit would religious fundamentalists get? And also, can you define what is a religious fundamentalist?
And maybe you could say,
I mean, bro, you subbed out last time. Why are you, I mean, come on. You really want the smoke again? You want the 2-time? You want back-to-back? That's crazy. That's crazy. You can't... Bro, you can't say, all right, I'm tapping out last time around and then come back hot.
Say more of like a Christian nationalist.
Okay.
In this instance. But things like, you know, the attacks on trans folks, the attacks on a woman's right to choose, the idea that we're going to get stuff like an enhanced RFRA, which is going to mean that if you're a pharmacist and you don't want to provide birth control, you may not have to.
Don't you think you're assuming that
if you believe that public education, we should take that money and pour it into religious schools, you're gonna get a benefit out of a Trump administration.
Yeah, but don't you think you're assuming that the vast majority of Americans who are moderates?
Like, what do you think you're gonna get out of the Trump administration?
Economic relief. That was
what kind of
dog? Ain't no way. Okay, they filmed this like, I think they filmed this before Donald Trump became president. To be fair, this might have been filmed pre-inauguration or right as the inauguration happened. I'm fairly certain because Sam was in LA and we couldn't link up because I was in Japan. So obviously, if you had any understanding of what Trump was saying he was going to do, just even like fucking tariffs, right? Or I'm going to deport 20 million undocumented migrants, for example. He hasn't done so. But the claim that he was going to do so, you could have recognized that there was going to be a devastating impact on the American economy if you had more than 3 fucking brain cells to rub together. Okay? Having said that, it's hilarious that the video came out not in January, but on March 9th. And we know that you haven't gotten the economic relief. You have not gotten the economic relief at all. Ah! Amazing. You could have seen it. You could have foreseen that there was not going to be economic relief, for the record.
Economic relief. They're going to cut Social Security. You're going to have to pay for your parents. They're going to cut. When they go after the agencies, like
he's like, no, they're not going to cut Social Security. Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
They're going after, right? This is outlined in Project 2025. Russ Vought, who's going to be the OMB head, he was the OMB head the first time around. He wrote all the book on this stuff.
Okay, well, you bring up
I'm relieving myself of all my savings. Fuck. Yeah, that's a form of relief. You know?
When you cut agencies and go after them and you fire all the inspector generals so that they're not being able to make sure that the agencies are working, who do you think profits from that? It's corporations. They're going to go after agencies that make sure your food is not full of botulism, that your air is not full of mercury, that your water is not full of C8. This is what they're going to do. Agencies exist to curb corporations from externalizing their costs and privatizing their profits. So it may be cheaper for a company to dump their chemicals into a river than it is for them to dispose of it in a safe way. And so they get the profits from that, but the costs are borne by society. They're borne by society in the form of, like, people get cancer. They're borne by society in terms of, like, we've got to do the cleanup. That's what agencies do.
Pause. You've been voted out by the majority. Please return to your seat.
That's good.
He was doing too much listening.
Hey. It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Okay.
Okay, here's the problem. If you don't have a established consensus truth, you know, things that are happening in the real world, if you don't have a established consensus on this, then a big part of this quote unquote debate is going to be Sam Seder describing basic functions of the government to increasingly dumber people. Okay? And in terms that, like, a juvenile can understand, because, like, clearly the people across from him are operating with, like, a 14-year-old's understanding of the world. And not even like a particularly smart 14-year-old, but a 14-year-old that's just, like, watched too many fucking TikTok videos. This guy's about to blow your mind. Okay.
Okay, so I would like to touch on the religious fundamentalist aspect.
Yeah.
Are you an atheist?
I'm a Reformed Jew. I don't have a strong belief in the existence of God, but I don't think that religion in and of itself is bad.
Okay, so what's wrong with religious fundamentalists? So, like, when you said trans rights and women's rights or something like that?
Well, the problem...
What's wrong with religious fundamentalists? What the hell? Does this guy think the only religious fundamentalists are, like, evangelical Christians or something? Which, by the way, there is much wrong with that as well, but I suspect that he doesn't understand what that word means. You know? Like...
I have with religious fundamentalists, and really more, I guess it's really theocrats, is that they want to impose their morality that comes from their religion on the...
Sam should have just been like, bro, what do you think about ISIS? Do you like ISIS? And he's going to say, no, obviously not. I'd be like, okay, so you don't like religious fundamentalists. And then if he says, oh, but I like evangelical Christians, you'd be like, okay, well, they're religious fundamentalists. The only thing holding back the religious fundamentalist movement from doing ISIS-style shit is, you know, the established material conditions in the United States of America that stop them because they all die of heart disease before they can go and do ISIS-style shit. Okay, I'm joking on that front, but, like, I'm not joking when I say if conditions were ripe for revolution or barbarism in the United States of America, if the United States of America resembled like a crippled, failed state that was invaded by a much larger superpower that completely destroyed it, then yes, our religious fundamentalists would be doing ISIS shit as well. Right now, they just go and protest outside of Planned Parenthood and then go get $5 jalapeno poppers and call it a fucking day. The moment that they can't get those fucking $5 jalapeno poppers, oh, all hell will break loose. Trust me.
The rest of us, and I don't.
But morality, from your view, is going to be a preference, right? It's not morality; it's a preference. So morality without a foundation is going to reduce you to a preference.
Well, I have a foundation for my morality.
Which is what?
It's a humanist vision of what basically creates as little suffering as possible for as many people.
Okay, so you're like a consequentialist, utilitarian.
I don't really bother myself with being a consequentialist or a utilitarian.
It's always going to reduce you to a preference. So if you say that killing is wrong and I say it's right, you would really have no contention with that.
Well, no, I don't base my understanding of civil society on religion. And so we have a civil society.
Okay.
We have.
Oh my God, this is a TikTok debate guy, 100%. Here we go, dude. We're doing. You know how back in the day, there was an era of like pop psychology, and that never really went away. But now there's an era of pop philosophy, which I think is even worse than pop psychology. It's people. This is 100% one of those like TikTok debate guys, okay? All they do is not really understand dense literature surrounding philosophy and just like kind of abide by like the meme-ified versions of it. And that's it. That's like, they just operate on like false understandings, false philosophical understandings, and try to argue simply on the basis of their false interpretation. Charlie Kirk tweeted about how this guy destroyed Sam.
Nice to meet you.
Okay, well, let's see how Sam gets destroyed
Have
here.
laws that we have decided as a society in a
Yes.
democratic way, and for
Perfect.
some people it's okay for it to be informed by their religion. That's okay.
Okay, perfect. So if tomorrow society comes together and we say, hey, trans folks don't deserve rights, you would be okay with that?
No, I would be against it, but I mean it would be
It would be morally right under your
not
view.
morally right. No. I'm
Okay.
not talking about morals.
Okay,
here.
so here's where I'm getting to, right? Religious foundations provide an ethical framework for one to live their life off
I
of.
believe you can have an ethical framework without
and
religion.
if we take the leftist view to its logical tail end, to its extreme view, you have low reproductive birth rates, you have a reproductive dead end, so two men together can't reproduce unless they have to take from a healthy.
Wait, I don't understand. So, like, does he think that if unshackled and unrestricted by religious boundaries, we would just be doing butt sex? Like, I don't get it. Like, taken to its logical conclusion, there is no logic behind assuming that devoid of religion, we would literally just only fucking have gay sex. Unless in your mind, you're constantly thinking about just dicking down a dude. You know what I mean? You're just constantly, and the only thing that's holding you back from entertaining the act of sweet, sweet butt fucking is the fact that you're going to go to hell. And that's the reason. That's why you're holding back. You know? What a strange way to address the importance of religion in civilized society, to be like, without religion, everyone would be gay. Nah, I think that's just a self-report, big dog, you know? Like, I don't think Sam is particularly religious. Sam is a straight man, you know?
The straight couple, religion provides this foundation where you do prioritize the nuclear family.
So do you have a problem with gay people being married?
It's not that I have a problem. I just don't see a justification for why they ought to be gay outside of it just feels good. Can you give me another justification for it?
Well, I think maybe that's the way they were born.
Okay, what about pedophiles? Are they born that way?
They may be, yeah.
Okay, so
Okay, why are debate lords so bad at debating is a question that always comes to mind. Pedophilia, regardless of the way that you're born, cannot be compared to homosexuality. The reason why you can't compare pedophilia to homosexuality is because if a pedophile acts on their urges, okay, they create harm. If a homosexual man, such as this guy maybe, acts on his urges to consensually have sex with another consenting homosexual adult, for example, you're not harming anyone at all. As a matter of fact, harm would only be caused if you are forced to repress your homosexual tendencies and desires, as is evidenced by the fact that you are making a horrible argument comparing pedophilia to homosexuality. I don't understand why people spend hours and hours and hours on fucking TikTok debating back and forth, and they're still so unimaginably bad at fucking arguing. How is this possible? I hate to debate. I'm not particularly great at debating. Something that I voluntarily reveal about myself all the time. And yet, seemingly, for a lot of these guys, I feel like I cooked them, you know? It's just, it doesn't make any fucking sense. It really. That's why so many of Divorcelli, or Epstein, rather, with his new name, when his fans come in here and they try to do a watered down version of his arguments, they fail spectacularly because there's not really a good argument there. And people who love debating or watching debates don't necessarily have the same rhetorical skills.
So should we let a pedophile off the hook since they were born that way?
No, I think we as a society has decided.
Should implement duties to prevent them from acting on that innate urge, correct?
Well, I think between consenting adults, it's a different thing than.
Okay,
than
so you're okay
preying
with
on
a
children.
45-year-old dad with a 19-year-old daughter as well? Incest.
No.
If they consent, you're okay with that?
No, I think society has also determined that it's not beneficial.
Right, there's
for-
duties and obligations that we have. So religion provides those duties. Life isn't about
Well, but
freedom
also
and
I can-
exercising what you want.
I mean, well, you want to impose your religious doctrine
No,
on me,
because
and I don't want that.
you just admitted we need duties. We have responsibility as a society to keep us functioning, to keep us thriving. Your leftist view,
The other side of a debate lord is that they always have to bring up incest after they brought up pedophilia. Classic. Debate me on the virtues of incest. Debate me. Please don't fall into the trap, okay, chatters. Every now and then, maybe you watch a debate, okay, and you're like, damn, this guy's cooking, okay? If that's your whole content, you're inevitably going to talk about CP, pedophilia, and incest, and you're going to be debating those issues. When all other debates have run dry, you got to hit those. You got to hit those untapped veins. That's what happens every time. Now, of course, for Sam, he drops that bomb in there because he wants to shake the confidence of his interlocutor by touching a subject that most people don't want to talk about or even think about. Problem is, Sam is an experienced political commentator and has a very calm disposition. So I don't think he's going to eat that bait and come across like befuddled by this rhetorical flashbang grenade that this dipshit dropped in the conversation. A conversation that's supposed to be about billionaire religious fundamentalists and xenophobic nationalists that only benefit from Trump's election, and that everyone else that doesn't fit into either of those categories actually loses from Trump being president.
the liberal view doesn't provide anything besides it just makes me feel good. Religion does. So what's your argument?
Also, religion does make you feel good. That's kind of the whole point. You abide by a certain set of standards that you dogmatically associate with like the appropriate moral code. Many of it is like misunderstood and misinterpreted, but that's besides the point. And it makes you feel good to follow those rules. Like, that's it. You just need a guiding principle because personally, I guess you're afraid of your urges, your own personal urges that many other people don't have, like, you know, inoffensive urges like wanting to have gay sex, or maybe really scary urges like wanting to do pedophilia. I'm just saying, if religion is the only thing that's stopping you from engaging in pedophilic acts, then you probably should get fucking institutionalized, you know?
What's my argument as to why I don't want
You have no
your
contention.
religion to? Well, because the other, first of all, I don't think that you have the right to corner what God is telling us is right or wrong. And there are differences between religions. And so my argument is, you know, like, you're not going to keep halal or kosher, right? I mean, I don't believe that someone has a corner on religious truth. And the reason why we have a democracy is because we didn't want a king. And the kings came from the idea that their God said that they're the ones who's supposed to be king. And so we can disagree on this. I don't want to live in a country that is ruled by religious fundamentalism.
And if I do, you have no issue with that.
And no. And this is why I say, under Trump, yes, you have won.
Yes.
You have a
Only
bunch
male
of
and
Christian.
female. You're right.
You have a
We
Christian
won.
nationalist,
Yes.
and
Which is necessary.
Yeah, this guy's a fucking loser, bro. Whole ass loser. He's like, yeah, I want only male and female. Like, as though you think, just for the record, even though Donald Trump is obviously giving red meat to these fucking dipshits, they will still experience the material consequences of the Trump's devastating agenda of austerity, okay? Just make no mistake. He just thinks right now in the interim that they're winning, okay? That's it. That's it. Oh, yeah, only two genders, men and women, male and female. We won. It's like, no, bitch, your egg prices are still high as fuck, okay? Look at the stock market, dipshit. You are not BlackRock, okay? You are not a fucking CEO overseeing dumping toxic pollutants in the fucking natural water supply, okay? You're not going to see the benefits. You're only going to see the fucking harms. But yeah, you'll just go male and female, two genders, all the way into your demise, okay? You'll feel like things are good because Trump gave you that red meat because you're a dumb fuck.
So I concede the point that under Trump, your Christian nationalism has gained an advantage under this.
Sorry, we're going to have more kids. We're going to have less abortions. We're going to have...
Sorry, we're going to have more kids, less abortions. Oh, my God. Yeah, it's sick, man. Hey, good luck paying for your fucking childcare, by the way, dumbass. First of all, you are not having more kids. Who is fucking this man? Please. Ain't no way Big Dog is getting laid, all right? That's number one. You don't have to worry about these things. These things don't concern you, okay? You are not getting pussy.
More family. We're going to have stable family households. Sorry about better education.
People, gay people should be outlawed.
They should be straight. They should be straight.
Women should be secondary to their husbands.
Women should submit to the husbands.
Women
that doesn't mean they are slaves.
Right,
it doesn't mean they are slaves. It means they are protected. Okay, let me ask you that. Let me ask you.
No.
Should women be drafted? Should women be drafted?
Listen, I think
if they're equal, should they be drafted?
I think this is the vision that you have, and I think Trump supports it.
Yes.
I think the Christian nationalists he has throughout his government are all going to work towards your vision.
Yes.
And my hope is that when people look at this, they say, hey, wait a second. I don't want my life to be dictated by the notion of a Christian nationalist.
It's funny, though, because, like, he seems to be at least, like, he seems to have, like a definable worldview that in his own twisted moral confines, like, makes sense. But the problem is, other people are listening to this. This is not just the intellectual trappings of your own scary mind. You are revealing the insanely cruel worldview that you have. So in some ways, I respect conservatives for the brutal honesty, but in other, but also I can't help but notice that, like, when you are an intellectually honest conservative, most people are going to look to what you're saying and go, oh my God, you are a fucking monster. So I think Lil Bro forgot why conservatives use dog whistles. I think he forgot why conservatives try to frame their agenda from the perspective that is more appropriate for liberals, like the permissible boundaries of liberalism. Conservatives don't say, we want to do forced impregnations and we want to force women to carry pregnancies to term, regardless of whether or not there is harm to the carrier in the process, because we don't want women to be able to choose what they do with their own bodies. They say abortion is murder. We're actually saving the baby. That's marketing. And there's a good reason for that marketing, because a lot of dumbasses in the edges respond to that marketing and go, well, okay, well, that makes sense. Yeah, a baby is a life. Like, they should preserve the life of the baby. I care about the sanctity of humanity, whatever, right? This guy dropped all of that and was like, no, women should be subservient and servile to their male partners. It doesn't mean it's slavery, but they should be subservient. Yeah, good luck. Good luck with that attitude, Big Dog. You know, I don't think you're going to win a lot of people over here.
Prescription. Now, you may win out. I mean, certainly, like, if you look at it.
I do love this because he just accidentally agreed with the underlying premise that Sam Seder made here, which is, unless you're a billionaire, religious fundamentalist, or xenophobic nationalist, voting for Trump was a mistake. And he basically came up and said, yes, I'm a religious fundamentalist, and I love that Donald Trump is doing religious fundamentalism. So technically, Sam is correct. And also simultaneously, he has revealed the devastating agenda of Trump. So congratulations to this fucking TikTok dipshit.
A country like Iran, they have a theocracy there, and apparently that's, you know, good for them if they want it.
My final point is, whenever
I don't want to live in a theocracy.
My final point is, whenever we see people live out Christian values to its full extent, we see a great society. When we see people deviate from that, that's where all the problems arise.
All right,
I think you are at home in the Trump. Trump
Thank you very much.
You've been voted out. Please return to your seat.
Oh, he's back.
I think I have an issue with the implications of the prompt, I mean, of course, I'll stick on the religious fundamentalism. I think it's unfair to view Christianity separated from the ideology that Christianity informs, right? You have an ideology that you vote upon because you view it to be the truth that benefits everyone in a society. That's how a democracy works. I, as a Christian, have an ideology that informs my opinions, and I believe that it is the most moral and correct way for a society to function. So I think if we put religious fundamentalism in a box where you say any moral implications that I draw from this, religion is unable to be voted upon, unable to be pushed onto you because simply it's a religion, is unfair to view it that way. Religion is an ideology like all ideologies are. It's you vote away.
I don't mind you. I don't dispute the idea that you could have a religious ideology and want to see it imposed upon others, and it's not inconsistent with my claim. My claim is that Donald Trump is ushering in an element of Christian theocracy that I can't remember his name, and you may be excited about, but I'm not excited about it. I don't think the vast majority of Americans are, but maybe I'm wrong. Right. I mean, I don't think this country was set up to be a theocracy, and I find it problematic that it will be, but others will be happy about it.
I think it's unfair as well to label any morals that comes from religion inherently immediately theocratic. Like having a theocracy is something different than having...
I think love thy neighbor is a good precept, and I don't know that we should necessarily legislate it, but I think it's a good precept. Cool. I think there are things from religion that are good. Yeah. I interviewed Desmond Tutu years ago, who said that religion can be is like a knife. It can be used to spread butter or it could be used to stab people. But that doesn't mean that I want religious doctrine to be...
I want Sam to ask him who this person thinks Desmond Tutu is.
The same as the law of the land. We have a democracy, and it was founded on trying to get out from some type of like religious oppression, which means one religion shouldn't dominate in this country. That's my sense.
Yeah, and I see that, but I think I have an issue with where you would perceive religious doctrine is derived from, right? A guy doesn't, at least in Christianity, a guy doesn't go in a room and come out and say that he is a secret message from God that everyone now has to follow. Religious doctrine is ruled over, it's reasoned over, the same way any ideology is discovered.
I'm not talking about the validity of religious doctrine. I'm talking about religious doctrine supplanting democracy and civil society.
And I'm saying that religious doctrine is democratic inherently, and in the way that you...
Well, earlier... I mean, look, we can have a debate as to whether or not women should be subservient to men. I don't think they should be, and in a democracy, I don't...
How do these guys look back at like thousands of years of religious history and unironically look at like the most secular era that we live in, at least since like the invention of Christianity, and go, we got to go back to the old ways, You know what I like to think of when I like to think of religious democracy? The Inquisition. Like how wonderfully democratic that process was, Great stuff overall across the board. Yeah. Great. Thank you. Let's go back to that. They would fucking melt you, dog, for looking this gay, okay?
I don't think it's healthy.
Right, but when you said earlier with him that someone shouldn't have I don't know the exact word, like a chokehold on what is, religious truth and what isn't religious truth, that's not how religious truth itself works, and that's not how religious truth is brought to the political table to have that work either, right?
I don't know, when Pete Hegseth is in
famously, religion always is open to interpretation, and that slight deviations never lead to horrifying acts of violence that span across centuries, okay? Famously, religion is super chill about having slight deviations, and it's always open to interpretation. Everybody always agrees to disagree. That's insane, dude. Oh, that's awesome. There's no way this person has not done like theology 101. You know what I mean? Like there's 0% chance he knows anything about history. Oh my God.
bar yelling, we're going to kill all Muslims.
Well, that's, yeah.
But now he's in charge of the largest military in the history of the
Sure.
world. I think, and he's informed by his Christian nationalism. I think that's a problem.
Right. Well, but we
can
don't
disagree on that.
Yeah, we don't take.
Pause. You've been voted out by the majority.
Thank you,
Please
Sam.
return to your seat.
Oh my God. Why is it the same losers that keep winning, dude? Yo! That's crazy. Luther's 99 Thesis were seen by the church as a suggestion box submission famously. Yeah. No, of course. When I think of like religious dogmas and the history of all religions, okay, but especially Christianity, I always think of no repression, no persecution, and only wonderful, bountiful democracy, endless democracy, as a matter of fact. That's what I think of. Because I'm fucking stupid. Because I'm a stupid person.
Okay, so Eleazar mentioned his views on gay marriage, and I saw that you believe that essentially conservatives don't believe that gay marriage should be allowed. I want to ask everybody in this room, is there any law or legislation that Donald Trump has passed to...
Bro, in a long time scale, let's say a quadrillion years when humanity's gone and it's as if we never existed. What does it matter if someone did X or didn't do Y? What would differentiate a saint from a murderer then? Don't you think there has to be an ultimate arbiter of morality beyond the harm principle for our actions to have ultimate consequence? I just don't think that our actions have ultimate consequence. Like what? You're just operating on the assumption that it does, while simultaneously talking about the meaninglessness of all of our individual actions in general. We live within the limited time frame of the human lifespan. So I say it's up to you to make it as good for other people as possible, and in the process make it as good for yourself as possible. You know? Like, I just don't believe that there is some ultimate arbiter of morality in general. Like why does there... I think it's inherently selfish, narcissistic for humans to assume that our lives are meaningful and consequential in the grand scheme of things. And I just don't agree with that at all, beyond the confines of the human lifespan. It is utterly meaningless, which you also come to that recognition by expanding on history and just like removing ourselves from the equation and saying, like, for a quadrillion years after mankind has existed and has ceased to exist,
to prohibit same-sex marriage in the last 4 years. Okay. Is there anyone in here who would potentially oppose two people kissing in public that are of the same sex? You could raise your hand if you want. Yes, in public. Kissing in public. No law against it. Just your own opinion. Okay. So these are all people's opinions, right? The same way you have your opinions about Christians is the same way these people are allowed.
No, I don't have a problem with Christians.
Well, you do not believe that theology should be at its
We should not have a theocracy.
Correct. And so what I'm saying is,
wait, most Christians don't want to have a theocracy. What the fuck? Does this guy unironically think that, like, in 2025, the overwhelming majority of self-identifying Christians are like, we wish we could go back to like a fucking, I wish we could go back to like a world that is guided exclusively by church. He thinks Sam wants the big gay in charge?
I think that Christianity, I'm a Catholic. I think that Christianity
bro, reassign all his intelligence points to speed. True.
Is, I think, fundamentally very important to instill family values in myself as well as every person who wants to have children. Now let's talk about...
I'm okay with that too.
Let's talk about Order 14,166. That is an executive order that Donald Trump just imposed on identifying what is male and female. So I personally believe, as well as many transsexuals, friends of mine, believe that a woman is a biological female, as well as a man being a biological male. You are assigned what you are at birth. You are not assigned your gender later on. What you choose to express is something that is similar to wearing a garment, similar to what you decide to put on your face. And I don't think there should be laws or legislations dictating people or imposing laws to manipulate children, for example, to castrate their bodies at such a young age. 50% of children.
Do you know how many children are treated over the past 5 years? Let's say, I think it was from 2018 to 22, there was a study that just came out from Harvard. Do you know how many children received gender-affirming care, but broken down into puberty blockers and then hormones?
Give me the numbers.
You tell me. I'm curious.
Well,
because,
I'm curious
you know,
because you're bringing it up.
No, I have the numbers.
Okay, tell me.
I do, but
Tell
I'm
me.
curious if you know.
Tell me what the
I
numbers are.
promise to tell you after you tell me what you think it is.
I'm not gonna play
I
that
promise,
game.
because I have a feeling
not
you
playing this
think it's-
game.
No, I am.
It's not a game. You have, again, and I'm going to repeat myself here, you have a firmly held conviction, okay? This is something that you care about. This is why I would always ask people like, what's his name, Christian Walker, or any number of different, like, trans people are ruining sports, people that make that argument. I would ask them, like, who got second place in the high school swim meet? Who got third place in the high school swim meet? It is a debate tactic, to be fair, okay? But the reason why I would ask that is because, like, obviously you don't give a shit. This is not something that you truly care about. If you did, like, if you had a genuine interest in, like, women's swim meets or whatever, you would fucking know. You would know the answer to that question. And the same goes for people that make these arguments where they're like, no, you don't understand, like, thousands of, not even thousands, you didn't give a number, but, like, everybody's getting hormone blockers and everyone is having this kind of invasive surgery at a very young age is totally unacceptable. The reason why it's important to ask people, like, how many people do you think this is happening to, is because they don't know. They don't know. If they knew the answer, they would recognize how laughable of a position this is.
I'm playing this game because
Why?
I think you think it's much higher. When you tell me that kids are being castrated, I know you don't really know what these numbers.
Unless he's talking about circumcision, in which case the numbers in the millions, okay? Hey, listen, shouts out to my circed up boys, okay? They took something from us. And we'll never be able to return. I'm an intactivist, as you guys know. And as an intactivist, I have a poster that says return with a V on it, but instead it's actually not about, like, white Christian nationalism. It's actually return my penis skin. That's what I would want. I want my hoodie back. Circed up boys. Hands off my penis.
Numbers
Well,
are.
almost-
And I do know these numbers.
Okay, well, I can tell you this much.
What?
It was reported that scientifically every single child who has received gender-affirming care, about roughly 50% of them regret it. And 50% of them are suicidal because of it.
Studies on the subject often suffer from researcher bias and methodological errors, including inadequate follow-up and precise measurement of poorly chosen sample bases. Doctors agree more research is needed. Wait, what? That's the fact check? That's a terrible fact check, dog. He just straight up lied. Why would you... I don't even think that there is a single study that says that. As far as, like, surgery regret goes, surgery regret is really fucking high for procedures that are absolutely necessary for survival. Okay, we're talking hip replacements. Even that has a higher surgery regret percentage than any sort of, like, HRT, any sort of, like, gender confirmation surgery. Okay. Gender confirmation surgery regret percentages are unimaginably low, like insanely low, much lower than any other kind of invasive procedure. Okay. And considering the incredibly low number of like surgeries that trans people get to begin with, you have to understand that this is like 8 total people. You just hear about it a lot more because fucking New York Times will write articles about it endlessly. That's it. Hasan's HRT dealer, thank you for the 5 gifted subs. Subscribe, chat, for $6 or for free with a Twitch Prime. That's right. You will never have any regret. You will have even lower levels of regret than the already existing incredibly low levels of regret that people experience after getting some sort of gender-affirming surgery. Well, specifically surgeries involving trans people. If you subscribe, that's right. Subscribing will allow you to support the stream, but also simultaneously give you access to incredible emotes that you can use all around the platform and the opportunity to send me links. Study from the National Institute of Health analyzing multiple studies showing that the number is less than 1%. Regret after gender affirmation surgery, a systematic review and meta-analysis of prevalence. Here it is. Evan Debs, thank you for the 5 gifted subs. For the chat is asking for proof, a total of 27 studies pooling 7,928 transgender patients who underwent any type of GAS were included. The pooled prevalence of regret after GAS was 1%. That fact check is wrong. Minors don't have surgeries. Yeah, that's true. Well, no, minors do have surgeries. Minors have gender-affirming surgeries as well, like rhinoplasties or breast reduction surgeries or breast enhancement surgeries, as a matter of fact. That is infinitely more common. That is infinitely more common than minors getting any sort of trans medical care, as a matter of fact. So the idea that minors don't get any sort of gender-affirming surgeries is wrong. It's just overwhelmingly cis minors that end up getting said surgeries. No minors get SRS, none. Oh, you mean yeah, as far as medical intervention, like a bottom surgery or top surgery for trans minors, it is, I think, either non-existent, depending on what year you're looking at, or incredibly low and done only because it's like a last resort. It is seen as a last resort. Medical intervention that is not reversible is not often done to trans minors. It's not done to trans minors at all. It's like very, 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 very few instances, and only seen as a complete last resort. Yeah, knee replacement surgery is a 30% regret rate. Gender affirmation has like a 0.3%. Exactly. What? No one under the age of 25 should get gender affirming surgery? That's a crazy take, dude. Like, not even once you're legally seen as an adult can you get gender affirming surgery. You can only do it at 25. Like, that's so stupid. Bro, if you're trans, you don't magically become trans at 25. You're just trans, okay? This is what's so crazy about this argument. This is what's so crazy and so stupid about the fucking conversation surrounding trans people. Like, trans people don't materialize after paying taxes for a couple years, okay? They don't just like magically become trans after they worked at fucking McDonald's. They were just trans always, okay? This is what's so annoying about having back and forths about this conversation instead of just like letting the medical community find through research what the best possible ways of going about this is. I hate it. Keep that energy with hair plugs. Okay, chill. Calm down now. Bro, I thought you were a foe. Make no mistake, I am a foe. I am a foe of the LGBTQ community, okay? This guy's coming after the one remaining medical tourism sector in my home country, okay? I take great offense to this, sir. How else will Turkish hairlines make money? How else will industrious Turkish entrepreneurs, doctors, how else will they be able to make money? You are tanking an economy that has experienced hyperinflation for the past decade or so. You're trying to bring Turkey down even further. I will not let it slide. We are the table. We're not just at the table. We are the table. All right, let's continue.
They're actually more depressed because of it.
How many of those kids? How many?
A psychologist,
how
by the
many
way.
over the course of 5 years?
Well, tell me.
You tell me.
Tell me.
Just give
I
me
know
a
what you're trying to
ballpark.
do. You're trying to put me in this chokehold of like,
No, I'm
I
not trying
got
to
you
put you in a
moment.
No, this is definitely an I got you
No.
moment because I'm suggesting to you that you think this problem is much bigger than
It is a huge problem.
Oh,
I was one of the 530 trans minors around the age of 15 plus to get top surgery in the year 2018 in the entire United States. There are tens, if not hundreds of thousands of us in the U.S. I needed over 3 years of maintained diagnosis and 4 referrals from doctors and psychiatrics. Bottom surgery does not happen until 18. Yeah. Now think about the interesting part about this, right? By the way, shouts out to Catboy Collector. The interesting part about this also is that there are definitely more than tens of thousands of people that do get top surgery as minors in the United States of America, except that is seen as gender-affirming surgery that is appropriate. Why? Because it's cis minors that get it. That's the difference. It only becomes an issue. It only becomes a real issue when it's actually trans minors. Okay? That was the point that I was making. It's like an incredibly, incredibly low number. Let's continue.
Medi-Cal, you know, Medi-Cal covers inmate trans women.
I understand that, yes. And I know one person has had that.
Bro, can you explain how people regret surgeries like knee replacements, like you said? I mean, I can give you an example of this. I have a little bit of regret myself from my knee surgery. I had a laparoscopic surgery, which was like not super invasive, right? But in the process, like my knee never fully healed. Some people have chronic pain, you know? I don't fully have regret over it because obviously the alternative I understand was far more damaging, which is like having a fucking piece of cartilage just like flowing around in my knee freely, inevitably getting stuck under my kneecap and then causing permanent repair, a permanent state of disrepair, sorry. But like I had to get it done, but yeah, it didn't, I still can't dunk. And it hurt for a long time. I never actually got back to the same level of strength that I had in my legs since that surgery, and it's been years and years at this point. You know, there are plenty of instances where people regret surgeries, and it's significantly worse than my situation, which is why I don't even like bring it up that much. I'm 26 and I had to get multiple letters from multiple doctors and mental health professionals to get gender-affirming surgery. It is insane. They think minors are just getting it on a random Tuesday just because. Yeah, that's the other side of this, that like conservatives are not known for critical thinking in general, but this is an area where they certainly demonstrate their lack of any sort of logic, right? Where they think that you could just like get HRT over the counter. You just walk up and you're like, I'm trans now. Give me some fucking estrogen or testosterone. I wish it was that simple, by the way, because I'd be getting that fucking tea, all right? I'd be spiking myself with Anavar on a daily fucking basis if that was the case. Probably would be a little damaging to public health overall. They think that there is no like mental health professionals checking every step of the fucking process. That's number one. Number two, they do this with everything, okay? It's the same principle behind claiming falsely that Gavin Newsom has let 75,000 rapists roam the streets. Why are they saying that? Because Gavin Newsom said we need to lower the number of prisoners in the California state penitentiaries because there is a real crisis of overcrowding in California state penitentiaries. That process is infinitely more complicated than the way people think it is. You don't just like walk up to the worst rapist you know, okay, who's like an Olympic level rapist. Like he just raped for fun, but also as though it was his own profession. And you're like, well, Gavin Newsom said you can get out now. And he's like, oh my God, I've only been in prison for 1 year so far in my, you know, triple life sentence. Oh, thank you so much. I can't wait to go out and do rapes again. That's what conservatives think is going on. It's like, no, there's a fucking parole board. Like you have to go in front of an entire group of judges who will look at whether or not you have demonstrated good behavior, if you've actually served the majority of your sentence, okay? And then they commute it, especially after you've demonstrated good behavior in general. Like that you don't have a capacity to reoffend. Like it's not that simple of a process, but in the mind of a conservative, it is that simple. And then because of how stupid we are as a society, we have to entertain the conservative stupidity. Their lack of imagination and their lack of critical thinking skills all of a sudden becomes all of our problems.
That surgery.
I don't understand how my taxes should go for an inmate prisoner who wants to transition.
Well, I think because we got to do health care for prisoners, and you don't consider it real health care. But hold on, I don't want to get
imposed $2.6 billion
it's 900 kids over 5 years.
That is a lot of children.
Puberty blockers.
That is a lot of children.
900
AB
kids over 5 years.
547 just passed, including gender identity to allow children to be separated from their parents just due to not affirming their gender identity.
But here's the point. Listen, Trump how is he hurting these people? He just rescinded the ability of the Labor Bureau to investigate discrimination in workplace. Are you for trans people being discriminated in workplace?
They're never being discriminated? Hold
Are
on.
you for trans people
what?
being discriminated?
They're just not being discriminated. Oh, okay. My bad. Okay. That's cool. Well, I guess we should wrap this up, you know? No, they're not being discriminated. Oh, well. It's just like you operate with the level of thinking of a child. Like you have a child's brain. What the fuck do you mean they're not being discriminated? What an insane thing to say to begin with, but also what is happening? Like you're like, no, it's not happening. Okay, I guess we should move on to a different point then.
I'm very passionate about that question, and can I answer it? Mm-hmm. Okay, so
he's passionate, so he knows better.
I believe that affirmative action should be...
It's not affirmative action.
Oh, then what is it?
It's anti-discrimination. It's not saying that you have to hire trans people. It's saying you can't fire someone when you find out they're trans.
Okay, well, hold on a minute. So when you hire someone or when you interview someone, for example, you are supposed to interview them based on their knowledge and their work ethic, not based on sex.
I'm not saying affirmative
not based
action.
On their sexual
Are you
orientation.
allowed to fire them if you find out they're trans?
If you need to, then you should. If you need to, then
Right,
you should.
so we have a disagreement.
All right,
I don't
pause.
believe people should be discriminated against.
Pause.
And that's not.
Wait, what do you mean? If you need to, you should. Like you have a competent employee. You like the employee. The employee is doing decent output. You find out that the employee is actually trans. You fire them because they're trans. What do you mean? If you need to, you should. Some needs are not valid, and in the past were considered illegal. And the reason for why this was a restriction enforced by the federal government was because people were doing it. Okay? And you're also in the process of arguing that they should be able to do it. What is happening?
Not discrimination. It's based on your knowledge, not what you sleep with, not who you sleep with. Just saying.
They're clapping for that? Oh my God. Bro, they don't understand. They don't understand anything. What the fuck is going on? I would lose my mind if I was in a room like this. I genuinely, like, this goes back to the point I make all the time. If everyone is stupid and you're the only smart one, then, you know, you're stupid and they're smart. That's just how it works, okay? In a society, in a society of blind men, the one-eyed leads everyone is wrong, okay? In a society full of blind men, the one-eyed person is cast aside and ostracized as their vision is now no longer a benefit. It is actually a point of discrimination because everyone's like, fuck you. What do you mean you can see? Get the fuck out of here. They'll kill you. You're a witch. It's awesome.
Hi.
Sam.
So I actually think that this liberal world order needs to be thrown away completely, and I think Christian nationalism would be a good alternative. What we're seeing right now is just a...
Okay. I'm sorry. We will misogyny alert, okay? Hypothetical misogyny alert. I'm not saying that this is my worldview, but in this process, I'd be like, all right, get the fuck back to your seat. Get the fuck back to your seat right now. I don't want to hear from you. Fuck you mean? Get the fuck back to your seat. Women should be seen and not heard. Like, what are you talking about? Religious Christian nationalism would be the good order. Why are you here? Frolicking about. Why are you here and not barefoot and pregnant in your home in the kitchen serving your man? Why are you talking to me? Why are you talking to cameras? Are you a witch? Are you a witch? What is this? Yeah, shoulders uncovered? Frolicking about like a harlot? What is this? Fuck you mean you want Christian nationalism? What are you talking about? The fuck is this? Well, what is this?
Congratulations.
Yeah, and thank you. And yeah.
Oh, no. no, 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 no. Oh my God, I can't say. Oh my, what is that, bro? Why are they letting the Amish into this room? What the fuck is happening with Jedediah in the back? Like, hell yeah. Dog, you came here on a fucking horse carriage. What are you doing? What are you celebrating?
I think what we're seeing right now is a culture of death. This is the most suicidal generation.
Bro is spending Rumspringa on fucking Jubilee, okay? You could be doing ketamine right now, okay, with strippers, and you're out here spending Rumspringa at Jubilee in front of fucking cameras.
Ever. We have millions of children dying by abortion. People aren't even reproducing. We don't even have like a...
Are you reproducing? All you're doing is reproducing dumbass talking points. What are you reproducing? I don't see you reproduce. Are you pregnant right now? Why are you talking?
We mandate people reproduce?
No, I don't think we need to mandate. We can just stop them from killing their kids.
You want to outlaw abortion?
Yes.
Yes. I mean, we have a fundamental disagreement on this, and my claim was that if you voted for Trump, it would be to your benefit if you want to outlaw abortion.
I think it would benefit everyone.
Yeah, I disagree. I think that that women should have the right to choose.
I think that it would benefit everyone to bring back the family unit, to stop having women just thrown into the workforce.
Maybe we shouldn't allow women to choose to divorce unless their husbands say it's okay.
I mean, I don't really believe in divorce in general, so like, sure.
All right. I mean, this I think though reinforces my point that if
no, you don't believe it. You don't believe in the things that you're saying, or it's the second thing, which is even funnier. You're too stupid to recognize that you are actively spelling out your own demise. Like, you want society to be organized in a way that actively harms you. Okay? The fuck do you mean? Oh, I don't believe in divorce. What do you mean you don't believe in divorce? She's like, yeah, I would rather murder my husband secretly by poisoning him with fucking Visine, by putting Visine in the soup slowly but surely, just drip feeding it day in, day out after he beats my fucking ass every night until he finally fucking coughs blood and dies in his bedroom. This is my alternative vision for divorce. Insanity.
If you are
but it would be better for society. It would be better for everybody in society. And same with Z.
That's my argument, by the way. Like, yeah, back in the day, women couldn't get divorces. So they just fucking killed their husbands, dude. Technically, divorce is not just good for women. It's good for the men, too. People just don't understand that, though. You know, we can't even have that conversation. It's for male preservation. I promise you. Okay. Or the guy she was having an affair with. What? Yeah, by the way, they're not even arguing his claim. They're just straight up arguing that his claim is correct and that Christian nationalism is good. Which technically, I think Sam foolishly thought there would be people that go, oh, no, I mean, Christian nationalism, I mean, xenophobic nationalism, Christian fundamentalism, these are bad things. Like, I personally didn't think that every fucking Zoomer that was going to run up to the mic was going to be like, nah, shit, that shit's dope, dude. I love religious fundamentalism. That shit is poggers. It's sick. I'm so skibbity. I'm so phantom tax on fucking Christian nationalism. You have no idea. Like, I don't even think he was baiting. I think he wanted to entertain a good conversation amongst people who don't fit any of these categories, because he thought that the average Republican Zoomer that wants to go on a Jubilee video was probably going to have some semblance of normalcy, some interest in at least maintaining decency, and that they wouldn't have fucking said those things, they'd be defensive, and then Sam could just like cook them up. I didn't think that every single person that comes up was going to be like, actually, the three things that you mentioned are awesome, and that's why I voted for Donald Trump, and you're totally right about your premise.
Xenophobic like, what's the problem with xenophobic nationalism? Don't you think that's better for Americans in general?
Stop!
Like
There used to be some fucking decency in people that came out, they would shelter their actual harmful opinions. They wouldn't just say it out loud. What the fuck is going on? Zoomers are worse than the generation prior. This is crazy. You should know better than to be like, no, conservatism to me is about being a fucking Nazi. Okay? What the hell? This is insane. She said, what's the problem with being a xenophobic nationalist, dude? To a Jewish man, nonetheless, but holy fuck.
Phobic nationalism is better.
We should have a coherent culture. Everyone should be a part of the same culture. We should have assimilation.
Which, do you get to choose what the culture is?
We already have a dominant culture.
What is
based
the dominant
on
culture?
European and Christian values and identity. That is the dominant culture.
White Christian,
it's rooted in European identity.
White. So your argument is
that has been the dominant culture.
Just to be.
This is also such a funny thing to say for like Americans, especially. Ask the average European person how they feel about American culture, okay? Like, I doubt that they're like, oh yeah, those Americans, they're just like us. Hundreds of years of history and culture versus Amerifat dipshit eating burger. Yeah, just like me. Amazing.
And we're not letting people assimilate to that. We're saying you should keep your culture, and this is why our culture is so divided.
Your argument is that Trump is good for those who want a dominant white European culture.
I mean, that is what America is. It's rooted in European identity and Christian values. That's what it has been. Would you really disagree with that? What is it then, if that's not the identity of America?
Well, I think the identity of America...
For the majority of time, America's been a country. You don't think that's been the identity?
Well, actually, no. I think actually the identity of America has been, for better or for worse, a melting pot.
Yeah, it's an amalgamation of all of the other, ironically enough, countries that America dominated that then bring those people over here. And actually, that amalgamation is one of the best aspects of America, if not the only good thing about America in general. She's not wrong. America has been very racist historically, law. I know, but the inverse of that, the other side of that is also the fact that, not having a singular focus on, I guess, like defining and maintaining some kind of like European colonial mindset has caused, or rather, as a consequence of maintaining some semblance of white supremacist European colonial mindset, America has become an amalgamation of all these different cultures. It's not a bad thing. It's actually a good thing. Part of the reason why America is also not run into the same generational trappings of other more xenophobic nations is directly a consequence of waves of migration. That's it. No, lib speak. It's not lib speak. There's obviously the bad, but there is a silver lining to this as well. It's true. The Daily Wire does not disappoint. I'm impressed how aggressively these guys from Daily Wire are owning white nationalism and theocracy. Yeah, I don't know if this is a good thing that people are just like openly taking ownership over direct white supremacist Nazi statements. This is a bad take. While religion offers some good rules to live by, it also led to some of the bloodiest conflicts which should not be 100% followed as modern law. 100 million people were murdered in the last century under the banner of atheism. Black Book of Communism.
In that regard.
Yeah, maybe since like the 1960s. Even then, even we had this idea of a melting pot literally means assimilation too. It means melting. It means you're assimilating to the dominant culture. Is that not what melting means?
No, it doesn't mean
And now instead we're saying there's something wrong with xenophobia.
Culture. No. I mean, look, I got to be honest with you. Like, you and I have a fundamental disagreement. We will never see eye to eye on this.
Wait, she works for rapist Elijah Schaffer, who literally raped so much that he had to be fired from a right-wing news outlet? That's who she works for? Girl, you are in danger. The fuck? That's crazy. I guess you got to be that crazy, though.
It's a choice. And people, I think what you're expressing, though, is really what the Trump movement at its heart is about. And I think that's problematic.
I disagree. I don't think Trump's like anywhere close to being a Christian nationalist. That's ridiculous. Like Trump's basically a Democrat from like 15 years ago when it comes to social
So you don't think that he's conservative enough for you?
Oh, definitely. Nowhere close. No.
He's not xenophobic enough for you?
No, he's trying to import a bunch of H-1Bs. Are you kidding?
Right. Oh, so you want to get them out too? Yeah. No, I mean, I think you're making my argument for me.
All right.
Well,
okay.
I'm just saying he's not even in this. Okay.
My next claim is,
Bro, she dropped H1Bs as a pejorative, like just in and of itself. She said H1Bs. They're dumping a bunch of H1Bs, man. Yo, Zoomers are fucking broken, dude. They are literally doing the thing. What is this? Oh, they're just posting this and going like, we won? Like they're saying, you know, I said a bunch of racist shit and therefore I won. Like what? Town I grew up in Canada was 95% white. Anyone who wasn't white was culturally assimilated. Now they turned a church in my neighborhood into a mosque. And when you go to the park, there are families with 50 beers to their toes chattering in a language I can't understand. I don't think there's anything wrong with me feeling uncomfortable about this. It's not that I hate anyone. It's that my hometown feels like a foreign country. And I know that I will never go back to how it was. It makes me sad. I hope they build more mosques in our town, honestly. I don't get it. What's the problem? Like, you said the fact that there are mosques doesn't mean this does not imply religious fundamentalism, but maybe you can get religious fundamentalism if you would like, you know? That's right. I'm an advocate for Sharia, baby. That's right. No white Sharia. I'm an advocate for brown Sharia. You feel me? More mosques, and she should not be out there showing her shoulders, okay? Sounds like Islam is the dominant culture where she's from. Yeah, maybe you should assimilate to the dominant culture. God damn, dude. Holy shit.